Howdy howdy, this is Crafty Grinding, back again with an arena cutoff video for Marvel Contest of Champions. Today I cover round 1 results for the Morningstar and Groot arenas, then I do a little prediction time trend analysis to come up with round 2 predictions. So let's go ahead and take a look at round 1 results. Uh, I'll say top line, all three of these arenas kind of played as expected. We see with both the 4-star and 3-star arenas for Morningstar Sheet, there was a lot of interest, but not kind of top tier interest like we saw with Mephisto. So upper echelon for sure, but just not all time high kind of thing. I think we'll see that with Blade, like I've been talking now for the last over my last couple videos, but we'll talk about more about the Blade arenas when those come around here in a week or so. But coming back here to the 4-star feature here on the left for Morningstar, you can see that her top 800 came in at 17.9 million. The top 10% came in at 4.6 million cutoff, with 11% tier cutoff right around 2 million. When we jump here into the middle to Groot, you can see that the top 10% cutoff was right around 2.0 million, with 11 to 25% cutoff at 1.51 million. And lastly, when it comes to the 3-star feature, the top 10% one came in at 1.54 for the cutoff, 1.54 million to be clear, and then 11 to 25% tier cutoff came in at 657,000. Again, these results are for the veteran bracket. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of data that's out there for the beginner or intermediate bracket. So anybody out there who's going through the intermediate or beginner bracket and has some results to share, would love for you to share them in the comment section. But comparing from the veterans bracket again, coming back to those, how do these results stack up against the predictions when compared to the last 3 or 4 similar arenas? Well, since these kind of played as expected, these predictions were pretty much spot on. The only one that was kind of off and just a hair underneath the actual results was a 4-star feature. But the actual results fell between the round 1 predictions and the grind target that I set for round 1. So as what I typically do with that is kind of give it a meh, kind of an average, nothing significant, but not a total fail of a prediction either. Then when we jump over to the 4-star basic, because that was spot on, that's a very successful prediction. And for the 3-star feature, that too was a very spot on prediction, almost specifically on it for sure. Now, with this in mind and thinking, that these results kind of fell in right as expected, let's take a look at what round 1 and 2 results were for the last couple arenas that were very similar to these. So we'll first take a look at the 4-star feature new champ results, those being Kingpin, Medusa, and Mephisto over the last couple months. And what's been interesting from the top 800 cutoff is that they were very similar between round 1 and round 2. And 3 times in a row, that's typically a trend that you can start banking on at that point. I wasn't so sure when we saw it for Kingpin and Medusa if we could expect it for Mephisto, but now that we saw it also for the Mephisto arenas, it's interesting that these both cutoff results are very similar. Now, when it comes to the top 10% and 11% tiers, you can see that those are the very, very similar between every round, and the baseline is there in every arena. Now, when we jump over here to the middle to the 4-star basic low interest champs, you can see between round 1 and round 2, there's a slight jump of around 100,000 or so between the last 3 arenas that we've seen: Black Panther, Old Man Logan, and Iron Fist, with Iron Fist not as a significant increase. Now, when it comes with 11 to 25%, there's a slight ebb and flow up and down a little bit between round 1 and round 2 with the results, with round 2 typically being a tad bit higher, kind of matching that 10% cutoff, slight increase every time with round 2. And then lastly, when we jump over to the right with the 3-star feature new champs, you can see round 2 there's a decent dip between round 1 and round 2. So you go 200,000 for Kingpin, 300,000 with Medusa, and of course these are just rounded up a little bit. And then with Mephisto, there was around 800,000 or so. And then with 11.25%, you can see there's a similar kind of flow to match along with those results, except with Mephisto round 2, there was actually an increase, which was a little bit different than the other trends. So when and I can tell you, going past these 3 arenas for 3-star feature new champs, it's more kind of on the same par, not that significant increase. So I think that's kind of like an exception, a blip that kind of showed up, and not something we should actually base any predictions on. So with all of this data in mind, here are my thoughts for round 2 results, round 2 cutoffs, if you will, predictions. I think with Morningstar, four-star feature starting here on the left, it'll be very similar that we saw with the other last three arenas, similar four-star new champ arenas where the round one cutoff and round two cutoffs were very close. And since we were at 17.9 with round one, we'll go ahead and say the top 800 in round two will be 18 million with that slight increase for the top 10% at 4.8. And if for those out there shooting for that 11%, go for about 2.2 million as the cutoff there. And then when we jump over to the middle for the four-star basic, again, there's that slight increase between round one and round two. So go to 2.2 million for Groot with 11 to 25% at 1.65 million. And lastly, when we look at the three-star feature, again, we can expect there was some fluctuation between the 300,000 and 100,000 drop. So again, and then there was the actual occurrence with the Kingpin Arena where it dropped 200,000. So we'll go with that 200,000 drop, or roughly that 200,000 drop, not exactly that. But with the prediction, I think it'll come in around 1.35 million, and then the 11.25% at 690. Now, again, these numbers are based off of the trends, the graphs that we're looking at, like those last couple of results. Again, if this is where the trends show where the predictions will cut off, we're actually kind of come in at. You don't want to read right at the right number. You never want to be like for the top 800. 801. There's plenty of videos of folks out there who recently fell into that situation and they're not very happy. So, especially if you're going having to go to 1800 million, my recommendation for any of these, if you're going to spend the time grinding, you always want to go a little bit buffer based off of what these predictions look like, what the time trend analysis and lines look like, the trends look like, basically, because as any Wall Street analyst will tell you, past results don't guarantee what future results will look like. So you always want to give yourself a little buffer in case there's some exceptions to the rules that occur. So with that in mind, I always like to cite grind targets. So with Morningstar, 18.5 million for the top 800, 4.9 million for the top 10%, and 2.3 million for the 11% tier. Jumping over to the middle for Groot, go to 2.3 million. You should be pretty safe with him with 11 to 25% at 1.7 million. And lastly, with the three-star feature, because there was that 100,000 to 300,000, we'll just go a little bit above that 100,000 for prediction. Go to 1.45 million with 11 to 25% at 715,000. And again, these predictions, similar to what the results I shared earlier, and the grind target for that matter, these are all for the veteran bracket. Here quickly are some numbers for those that are kind of general ranges to consider based off the handful of results that folks have shared, plus my own personal experience with my newer account over the last, 6 or 7 weeks. These are the numbers that I've seen kind of come in with the three-star feature. You're looking at 245,000 in the beginner bracket, four-star feature 750,000, or sorry, four-star basic, and then with the four-star feature right around a million. And then jumping down to the intermediate bracket, three-star feature for a new champ, you're talking 650,000 with a four-star feature basic with not a ton of interest. A million might even be able to get him for 8 to 900,000. And lastly, the four-star feature at 1.6 million. Again, these are my thoughts for the three brackets we've got for the Morningstar and Groot round two arenas that just kicked off here today. So if you have any questions, feel free to throw them in the comment sections. And if you have any thoughts or builds or even disagreements, if you will, a different point of view when it comes to these arenas and what the cutoffs will look like, would love to discuss them down in the comment section. So please go ahead and throw them on down there. We can talk about them. And if you like this video, we really appreciate a thumbs up like button. And if you like this video and others that I have in the channel, would really appreciate a subscribe. Other than that, thanks a lot for stopping by and have a great day.